So hey again and welcome to a new video. Today I kinda want to make a tier list for rank picks. I'd like to split each role for its own cause every player has his or its preferred role, and I think it's just a better overview over the game. If I split the tier list in each role, I probably will show all tiers and all roles in the end together, so you see the whole champion tier list, so to say. But I'd like to talk for each role on its own, just to make it easier. Maybe if you're only interested in tank role or whatever, because you only play tanks, then it's easier for you to just see all tanks and don't have to watch the whole video and stuff. Yeah, so to my tiers. S tier is just kind of works always anywhere, so it doesn't matter what your team comp is, you just can pick the champion and carry or just be strong and don't pay attention to your team comp. I mean, you always want to try to pay attention to your team comp, but with those champions, it doesn't matter because they don't get really countered or stuff like that, and they are just strong picks. So A tier is still a strong pick. It's not as good as tier, so to say, obviously, but you need to pay more attention to your comms and kind of need to see if it fits into the enemy team composition and in your composition, and you just think about it. But they are still able to challenge S tier, so to say, if they are coordinated and stuff. B tier is just average, so you can pick B tier, but it's not just blind pick them. So pay attention to what you want, what your team has, what your team needs, and then decide if you want to pick them or not. C tier is kind of a bad pick. It's just situational, so there are some champions which are usually not a pick or not worth picking, but in some situations on some maps they might work, and then it's okay to pick them, so to say, but usually not a good pick. And D tier is just not a great pick. It's just not worth it. It's more likely that you're gonna lose if you pick those champions being in D tier, so to say. First of all, I'd like to start with the tank role. So first tank is Ashe, and Ashe, in my opinion, is S tier or A tier, maybe low S tier or high A tier. I don't know, because Ashe is really strong. She is strong at poking. She's strong at pressuring around corners. She's strong at actually challenging or dueling DPS players and other tanks, just because for the fact that she has a lot of lifesteal if you play those cards, obviously. But that's a card I think you want to use on every game for Ashe in every loadout. So no matter what legendary you play, just pick the life rip card because it's so strong. It makes you so tanky. You have a lot of self sustain. Your DPS feels great. You are able to kill squishies if you ult them and just shoot them over the whole duration they are stunned. Your ult is really strong. You basically can't die in your ult. So Ashe is really good at just being there and pressuring the enemy team, so to say, as an off tank. So usually I don't like playing Ashe as a point tank. It works, or it can work, but she's definitely stronger as an off tank, just because you want to go with your flank, you want to pressure the backline, you want to pressure the healer, you want to pressure the other off tank. So in the perfect situation where you have double tank and stuff. But I feel like meta is going back to double tank and it's kind of losing double support. I like it, so that's, I don't know. It's just nicer to play, I think, in my opinion, if you have double tank. So that's why I think Ashe is S tier, because she's so strong. She's just a strong pick, and you almost, yeah, I think you can just, yeah, you can just insta lock her kinda and just carry on her. You're actually, so Ashe is actually a tank where you're actually able to carry a game because of her DPS. You can get a lot of kills. You can do a lot on your own. You don't have to play with your team. I mean, you always want to do it, but some people just don't do it, and yeah, therefore it's a great champion to just pick her and do your own thing. Stay alive on your own and just kill the enemies. So next champion is Barik. And Barik is for me kinda similar. I mean a little bit below Ash, I'd say, but still a good pick. Barik got buffed. His buffs feel great, so the HP buff is really good for him. Makes him feel really tanky. Makes it pretty easy to sustain on the point and just be there and be annoying. Cause Barik has a lot of self-sustain. You have heals on your turrets, so you either have heals when standing next to your turret or when your turret hits an enemy player. You have heals after using your dash or shields after using your dash. You have your own shield. You have basically auto aim ability with your turrets. I mean, the turrets don't deal that much damage, but it's still some damage. And now you can play really aggressive on Barik, kind of like he used to be. You can kind of play like an off tank, but he's definitely more like an point tank. You definitely want to try to play him on the point, but you're also able to play him as an off tank because he is really tanky. He brings out great DPS and he's just annoying to play against. He's vulnerable to CC, but as soon as you get resilience, it doesn't really matter to you if you get stunned or not. So Barik, always a good pick. Try to learn Barik. Try to get to know how to play him, how to use his cooldowns and stuff. So next champion is Nando. And Nando's kinda hard. I'd say he's definitely his buffs feel definitely great, but I think he's more like average. He's not as good as the other tanks. He's a good point tank option. He's also a good off tank option, so you can play him as a point tank and off tank. It depends on which legendary you'd like to play on him. But he gets countered by other tanks, so by Khan and stuff, and he has not a lot of range. So his weapon range is really short, so to say, which makes it kind of hard for him to actually get over the whole map or pressure over the whole map. You have a lot of options to get around if you play off tank Nando with Scorch cards like reduce cooldown of your charge when hitting your fireball or increase your movement speed when hitting your fireball and stuff. And you have a lot of sustainable options to be on the point and stay alive. Unfortunately, Formidable doesn't work. I think I already explained it in some of the other videos. The cooldown activates every time you get out of spawn. So every time you respawn your initial cooldown, that you start healing when dropping to a certain percentage number, your heal activates. So this legendary in ranked, I mean in general it's a great legendary. I'd like to play it, but there's no sense in playing it when it doesn't work because then it's wasted. You want to have the extra heal when falling to a certain HP number, but if it's not working, then it's not worth it picking. So that's why I think he's a little bit under the D or a little bit below the other tanks. And Aegis is also it's a great pick. You have a lot of shields, but the thing with Nano Shield is you're holding your shield, and while holding your shield you can't do damage. So that's why I think it's not the greatest option to pick, so to say, just because you are you want to have your shield up to shield for your tank or to shield for your team. You're actually a tank who has a big shield which can protect your whole team, so to say. It's not like Harden Shield or something like that, but yeah, you can't deal damage. So on Barik or Edge, you have different shields, which also can kind of protect your team, but you can attack while shielding. And that's why I think he's just average. He works, he's a strong pick. You can pick him in ranked, you can play him as off tank and point tank. but they're definitely stronger picks. So I feel like Nano is I see a lot of Nandos, or I've seen a lot of Nanos, just because other tanks are banned, and that's like the last option you can go for point tank. For example, if all other point tanks are banned, then you pick Nano, because Nano is also a point tank which works. But if you can decide which one you want to play, Nano is not on top, so to say. So then next champion, Inara. So Inara, yeah, Inara's still a strong pick. Well, maybe she's also S tier. I don't know, but for now I'd like to put her in A tier, just because of her nerfs. She got nerfed last patch or this patch. No, I think it was last patch. So her right click isn't that strong anymore. So her damage reduction isn't that strong anymore. But she still brings out great point pressure. She's so tanky, but the thing which kind of makes her, yeah, I don't know, which is hard to play with her, or you just need a lot of heals. So you can tank a lot of damage, yes. You're really, I think she has also a great amount of DPS, so which is also good for a tank. But she really needs the heals of your team. So on other tanks, you have some kind of self-sustain. I mean, you can add some heal in using abilities and stuff, but usually you want to use other loader cards because they are more important for you to make yourself as tanky as possible. Because Nara is a point tank. You want to play her. Usually you want to play her as a point tank. She works as an off tank, but usually you want to play her as a point tank. And there are some situations where you can actually change your legendary to counter pick, so to say. So usually you want to run Mother's Grace just because for the tankiness and make it easier for you to sustain and survive on the point. But if you play against a Barik who really needs his dashes to stay alive, because usually you have a lot of heal after your dash, or you used to have a lot of shielding after your dash, so you could decide to maybe go Treacherous Ground to counter Barik, or if you play against a lot of flanks or something like that, you also can play Cripple Inara to just annoy them. But usually, in my opinion, Mother's Grace is just the better pick. You also can pick Tremor, so the double wall, but the disadvantage is you obviously are not CC immune by using your right click. So in basically every game you have a lot of CC, so that's why I think Mother's Grace is just the best pick to go to annoy the enemy team, increase your damage reduction by using your Earthen Guard, and just be CC immune too. Yeah, don't get CC'd obviously, because CC is always annoying. It's always annoying to be stunned or getting Zin ulted, getting Khan ulted, whatever. So just make sure you're CC immune and stay alive on the point. So that's why I think she's A tier. She is really tanky. She sustains really, really well, but she needs a lot of heals. And I don't know. That's why she is A tier for me, cause of her nerfs. So before her nerfs, she definitely was one of the higher tanks. She's still a great pick. You still can put her in S tier, but I think she's more like A tier. You'd still play her like every game or see her like every game, just because you don't have that many options for point tanks. But if you can decide, I think now Barik is the pick to go. Usually, or before, not usually, before it used to be Inara, because Barik didn't feel that great anymore. But now I think Barik is a little bit. So if you compare both point tanks or the stronger point tanks, I think Barik is just a little bit above Inara. So Khan. Well, yeah, I think he's A tier, maybe S tier. It's kind of hard. I don't know. Yeah, maybe he's S tier. He's also great at bringing out great pressure. He's good at yeah, as I say, countering some champions. So she's a good counter to Ashe, but that doesn't mean that you can't pick Ashe into Khan. I do it myself. If the enemy team has a Khan, I still pick Ash just because you also can kind of play around Khan and try to yeah, I mean, just be careful if you play against Khan. You want to make sure that he can't grab you when you try to charge. So if you play battering ram and stuff like that, but he's still a great pick. He's good at pressuring backline DPS. It's just, I don't know, it's dangerous when you see Khan running towards you and you don't want to fight a Khan because he has a lot of options to protect himself. He has a shout, he has a shield, and stuff like that. But the thing which makes him kind of weak is, yeah, once your shield is down, or once the enemy team has enough Wrecker to burst your shield, then you're kind of vulnerable, because without your shield, it's actually hard for you to sustain. So maybe that's why he's 80, I think. Yeah, 80 maybe. Yeah, that looks better to me. Just because Wrecker got buffed a little bit. I think it's still not good enough, but it got buffed. So maybe a minor buff. Anyway, we need a little bit more, I think, for Wrecker. But still, Wrecker got buffed. And once your sheet is down, you're kind of, no, not really weak. You still have your shout, still bring out great DPS and stuff. But I think he's still a great pick. You still can pick him and can carry on him. So that's why I think he's 8 here. So next champion Makoa. Okay, Makoa. Well, now I think he's 8 here. It's not like I think he's not S tier anymore, just because Harshell doesn't feel that great anymore, and they didn't really change the other legendaries. So his general kit stayed the same. They didn't really change him. They just changed Harshell cards, and now you're not able to have shield up every time, which is good actually. I mean, it's always annoying to have a core with shields up every time. But now he's not like insta-pick or insta-ban and stuff, just because you still can play half shell. But for me, I'd like to play him as an off tank, like play him how he was, how he's been for years. Just play him as an off tank. I think it's not worth it anymore to play him as a point tank. It works, but it's actually hard because you have to play around your shields more. You have to be more careful. You just can't drop a shield whenever you want. You need to get the resets, and you still need to wait a little bit until you are able to drop the next shield. So that's why I think he's not S tier anymore. And I think he still is a great pick. You still can pick him and be really, really strong. You still can carry really, really well on him if you are good at hooking. I don't mean like hit a hook on a tank. I mean, you need to learn which targets you want to hook. But if you know which targets to focus, if you know which targets to hook, if you know when to hook and stuff, and where to hook, so to say, then you can carry easily on Makoa, because the hook is kind of broken. You can displace all enemies, or almost all enemies, depends if they're CC immune or not, but you can displace them, and the worst which can happen to a tank is getting displaced. Like, you don't want to be in the whole enemy team, but if the core hooks you, or a squishy, maybe Eevee, who is playing around her links or stuff like that, you hook her mid-air and just kill her, she icebox, and you and your DPS who's playing with you, or your flank is playing with you, waiting in front of her icebox, and just kill her and just annoy Eevee. Because if Eevee knows you're good at hitting hooks mid-air, she needs to play more careful. She just can't play how she wants to play. Like, I don't know, he's still a great pick. I've played him a lot, so I don't know, I just played him 20 matches in a row or something like that. Just practice him a little bit more, and he's so much fun. He feels great, and yeah, I mean, his ult is still strong. You can still reset your HP, but it's not that strong as it used to be. That's also why he's out of S tier, and he's not an insta-ban, insta-pick anymore, just because they also reduced his HP and his damage. But he's still a good pick, but you want to be careful if the whole enemy team is kinda hit scan, if all DPS, like Andrew, imagine you're playing against Andrew and Vic, then you probably don't want to pick Makoa just because it's so easy for them to deal headshots and you don't want to get headshotted by Andrew, neither by Vic. So that's why you kind of need to pay a little bit more attention to what you're playing against. But still a great pick. You're still able to carry on Makoa, but pay attention to what you're playing against, I'd say. So let me see. Next champion is Ruckus. And Ruckus, Ruckus is hard. Maybe average, maybe situational. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. Ruckus is really strong pick, but it's kind of hard to actually make him work how he should, so to say, just because you need a lot of coordination with Ruckus. I mean, in lower tiers, you're definitely able to also carry on Ruckus, because you can just rush the enemy team, dive their backline and stuff like that. But in higher elo, you need to play more around your team. You need to coordinate your team or your dives better. You can't just pick him because you need an off tank. You need DPS which synergize with him. You need some healers who are able to actually heal you over range or something, or you need to talk to your healers, so you need to talk to your whole team to make them work, because in higher elo it's so easy to counter Ruckus. It's so easy to just deal a lot of damage, play around his dashes and just wait out and stuff. Like, it's hard to make him work in higher tier. He is a pick. You see him a lot in higher elo, in higher ranks, but it still needs a lot of work on, not a lot of coordination to make him work. And I think even in GM matches, he's not as good as he can be. I think he's best in pro matches. Sadly, we don't have them anymore. But I think it's if you're a pro team scrimming together and stuff and learning calls and just have the synergy of the whole team and something like that, I think that's his best pick, or that's where you definitely want to pick him, but that's not an option anymore. So for now, I'd like to put him at average, but maybe I think he's more like situational. So don't get me wrong, he's not a bad pick. So don't flame with Ruckus if you see Ruckus on your team, but just hard to be consistent on him, because it really depends how good the enemy team is at focusing you or playing around you, and it also depends on how good you and your team are at coordinating dives and heals and stuff like that. But he's not a weak tank, so I hope it makes sense how I explain it. So he's not a bad pick or not a bad tank, but it's so hard to actually make him work or be consistent on him. So next tank is Terminus. Yeah, Terminus is I don't know, average, strong pick, maybe B tier. He is I don't know, it's hard. He is a strong tank. He is annoying because you can't counter his siphon. That's why he's so, I don't know. His siphon is kind of broken, because if you feed his siphon and he gets the resets after hitting his right click, then he have more siphon, so to say. So it's actually annoying to counter him or to do something, but he's vulnerable to CC just because you can hook him through his siphon and stuff like that. So yeah, but if you play in higher elo, they probably are good at countering you. They don't feed your siphon, they wait until your siphon falls off, and you're really lacking on range, kind of, because of your X. I mean, you have your right clicks, and your right clicks are a lot of bursts if you have like 4 charges or something like that. But you're kind of lacking on yeah, on range, you're not a good card pick. So usually tanks, obviously you want to pick card on tanks because you're playing, especially as a point tank, you're playing against another tank. You want to make sure they won't receive the whole heal, but on turn it's just not worth it picking card just because you don't use your X that much. You use your right click more often and your siphon. So basically you just circle your cooldowns, you play around siphon and right click, and from time to time you use your X, or when you need to learn when to use your X, but usually you don't want to use your X that often. So that's like, he's not a good card pick, which is kind of bad. His siphon is kind of OP, yes. You also can play him as off tank, but I think he's definitely stronger as point tank. I don't like playing him as off tank. So on some maps he's definitely S tier. Like on Ice Mines he's definitely S tier, just because it's so annoying to play against Term on Ice Mines. So maybe I put him a little bit higher, just because I explained like A tier is the strong pick, but you need to pay attention to comms or to maps and stuff. Yeah, so maybe S tier, maybe S tier, A tier, sorry, maybe it's A tier. But his resets got nerfed, so strong pick, but it kind of depends on the map. So obviously on longer maps or more open maps, he's not as good because it's hard for you to get the resets or to sustain, because if you're in the open and your siphon is on cooldown, so to say, you're vulnerable, it's easier to deal damage to you. I don't know. So strong pick, his siphon is pretty good. You're able to have 2 lives, so to say, if your ult is up. But your ult also gets countered. You can't do anything about it if you're counter ulted by Jenos, Dredge, or Angel, or like reversal or something like that, or Inara ball. Then you can't deal damage, obviously, but you still can respawn. But still, he's a strong pick. He's 80, I think. Yeah, he's 80. Next champion, Torvald. I don't know. Torvald D tier maybe. He's not good anymore, I think. I mean, his shields are annoying. It's annoying to play against a pocketed angel or something like that, because you can heal him, you give him ammo, you give him more HP. But his shield got nerfed, which was good. But I don't know. I think it's not worth it anymore running him, because once the enemy team gets Wrecker, or even if they don't, but I think you want to get Wrecker, he's annoying or he's not annoying. It's not annoying to play against him then, because you can just destroy his shields, and he has no value anymore. And Torv is really vulnerable. If you play against a good enemy team and they know how to counter Torv and Andrew Pocket or something like that, you will get focus as Torvald, because he's vulnerable. It's so easy to kill him because he can't do anything. I mean, his DPS is okay. His silence is annoying. So his silence is definitely one of his stronger abilities, just because it's a silence, and silences are kind of, yeah, I mean, it's the most annoying ability in the game if you get silence, because you can't do anything. You can just shoot. You can't use a movement ability, plus you can't ult and use other abilities, which is pretty annoying. But if the enemy team gets Wrecker, your shields won't do anything anymore, because they get one-hitted, or I don't know, something like that. And he's vulnerable. He also needs a lot of heals if he gets pushed, because he can't sustain on his own usually. So not a good pick. I think it's not worth it running. I mean, he can work. I mean, you're probably still able to win some matches on him, and he's probably better when you're doing with a DPS player. So I used to do with a good DPS player who played Andrew. I played Torv. So when Torv was a little bit better, not now, when Torv was a little bit better, and I just pocketed him all the time. We were in voice calls, and it was easy to make it work, just because I could call when I have a shield up. I could call when I need help. So he's definitely better when you play in voice comms or when you're good, when you synergize with your DPS. I mean, you still can synergize with your DPS if you don't know the other or the DPS on your team, but it's definitely better when you're used to the DPS player, when you're doing and when you're in voice call together and just get to learn or get to know each other now how they play and just I don't know. I think then he's better. So probably, well, I don't know. I think he's still not worth it running anymore. So next tank, or actually last tank, I think, is Atlas, and yeah, Atlas is it's hard. I A tier, maybe B tier. I don't know. I mean, his DPS is good. He's good at pressuring even snipers and stuff and squishies because he deals so much damage if he's hitting headshots. But I think there are just other options which are easier to make him work because you have to be really good on Atlas to do something. Just because it's you need to play around your cooldowns, you need to learn when to use which cooldown. You need to learn the timings of your cooldowns because your cooldowns actually need a lot of time to activate, so to say. I mean, it's good that they need such a long time to get activated, just because they are so strong, or his kit is so strong. But he's really hard to make work, especially in lower elo, I think. I mean, he's better in higher elo when people know to focus your resets, when people know to focus your old targets and stuff. Because I feel like he's good at enabling teams, he's good at enabling pushes or defenses, just because of his abilities. When your team focuses on your abilities or play around your abilities, like also play around your wall and something like that, then he's really good. He's at his best. You're also able to kind of carry on him when hitting your shots and when the enemy team doesn't know how to counter you and stuff. Because if you get crippled or something, then you definitely are not as good as you'd like to be, because you can't use your reset for your own, so your second chance. So I think he is a strong pick. I wouldn't say you don't want to pick him, but if you see or if you look at the tier list, I don't think that's the best tier list, or that's just right. There are definitely other opinions, and that's okay that there are other opinions. But I don't know. I just think it's easier to pick other tanks to win games or to make them work, because he needs a lot of time to get learned, and you need to be good, or you need to have a good game sense. You also need to have a good aim, or need to learn how his weapon works, when you want to charge your shot, when you just want your shots to just go off, so to say, when to reset, when to ult, because Atlas is also a champion. He is really strong, his abilities are really strong, but you also can use them wrong. So imagine you're, I don't know, you're about to win a point fight, the last point fight maybe, and just the enemy tank is alive, the rest of the team is about to respawn, and you ult the tank on the point. Then his team, so the tank's team, the enemy team, respawns in time, come back to the point, because you can't capture even if you ulted someone on the point, because they are still on the point. So he also can't die, and the team respawns and kills you, and then you just lose the game because you couldn't kill the enemy tank in time and couldn't finish the capture. Or even his resets, you can save targets when you reset them when they are out of positioning. Just I don't know. It's hard to be good in Atlas, but I don't want to play against a good Atlas because he's so strong. So that's why I think he can be S tier when he's played in pro teams and in coordination and stuff like that. And if you're really good, but just for I don't know, just for the rank games and stuff, and for everyone, he's just average, just because it's so hard to master him. There are easier picks, which are just easier to pick, so to say. So I just saw that I think the tiers are a little bit outdated, like the champions. There were missing a few champions. So I kind of left out Raum and Yago, even though Yago is not in rank. I think I'd like to talk also about Yago, but first of all, Raum. I think he's average, just because for the fact that he gets countered so easily. So usually you want to play around your dash if you play the damage reduction on your dash, and there are so many CCs in the current meta, so to say. You have a lot of healer who can stun or interrupt your run, like you have Grover, Furia, Dumba, so even Ceres if she plays Agony. So a lot of players are able to actually interrupt your run. You also have tanks who can interrupt your run, so you won't get any damage reduction and stuff. And you need to be kind of close to get your HP, just because your armor has kind of a short range to be able to be or to get collected, so to say. And you're definitely good at countering some strong ults with your ult, like Barik Dom and stuff, but I think it's hard to make him work. You really need to play around your cooldowns. It's annoying if you play against a heavy CC comp. So I think he's just it's I don't know. It's annoying to play against CC as Raum. It's annoying because I feel like most teams just focused on Raum because in theory he has a lot of HP. That's true, and you want to focus him obviously. But it's annoying to stay alive when getting CC'd and stuff. You really need to play careful, and yeah, that's why I think he's more like B tier. And yeah, so Yago, I don't know where she's going to go, but probably like A tier or S tier. Because she brings a lot of utility for your team because of your reveal and stuff like that. You yeah, can sustain when you have a good healer. So the thing what makes her kind of weak, in my opinion, is that she kind of needs a lot of heals. But once you get a lot of heals, well, not. I mean, it's kind of similar to Inara, but in a different way because I think she's more like a off tank maybe. Just because you can roll around and the enemy team, go for healers, and you're good at 1v1ing people when you burst them down, so to say. But once you're sitting on the point and once you're in your stationary form and everyone focuses damage onto you, you do obviously need a lot of heals. But if you know how to play, or if you know how to play around her cooldowns, then she's definitely a strong pick, and her ultimate is just annoying. Just walk into someone, press E, eat them, and execute them. They won't kill you in time if not everyone is focusing damage at you, and probably even if they would, they can't kill you when you're just into the enemy team and just press E and eat them immediately, so to say. Her damage, her acid pools are annoying to stay in because of the slow and stuff. So she's a strong pick. She brings great utility and stuff, but you can't just insta-lock her, I think, because you also get countered by damage which is dealt for as a percentage number, like Burn Monster Tyra or no, Firebomb Tyra. Skies, Poison Bolts, Big M Cassie and stuff like that. And if they have like I think blasters are the strongest against Yago because it's so easy to focus the damage onto Yago. So you need to play around cooldowns, need to play with your team, with your healer. And if you have a good healer, or if you play like Solar Blessing Fury, which is really annoying, I hate people doing this. You literally can't die. But it's not like you can just I don't know, interlocker S tier and just do whatever you want and you still stay alive for as long as you'd like and stuff. So I think she needs heals, yes, but she's also a strong pick, brings utility, can do things on her own, has a strong ult and stuff, but need a little bit more of coordination and just paying attention to team comp. So I think now we we actually have all tanks, and let me just check. I think I think I would rather put him at B just because for all the negative things I said about him, I just feel when I see now the other tanks that he's definitely B tier, not for me, not A tier, just because all the negative things are just there only because he's stronger on ice mines. Doesn't mean that he's A tier. So I think he's a good pick, good tank, but there are definitely other ones. And there's no real order, but if you'd like to have an order, probably Core above Khan, Atlas stronger than Nando, and I'm not sure about Nando and Term. Can switch it up, but I think yeah that's fine. Like Ash, Barik, S tier. About Yago, as I said, I don't know. We have to see how she works. So can kind of keep her out of the list if you want. But I think that's also fine for me. Like Inara, second strongest point tank. If you'd like to play the core as point tank, he's definitely below Inara for me. If you just take him as an off tank, I think he's above Inara. So you can swap it up if not Khan. Can swap it up. So like that. But I think this looks maybe if you want to order it, maybe this looks a little bit better for me than Atlas. Yes, high B tier. And then about Nano Term, not sure you can swap them if you want. Raum is a little bit weaker for me, just in my opinion, just because of the amount of CC. If there wouldn't be so much CC and if he could just do whatever he wants, he's definitely A tier or even a little bit, maybe A tier. If there wouldn't be so much CC, but there is currently in the game, so that's why he gets countered so easily. That's why he's low B tier for me, and the rest is fine. So yeah, I think that's the tier list for tanks, and I didn't expect it to take that long. So I probably will make more parts. I just make one part for each role, I guess. I usually plan on doing one tier list and talking about every role at once, so to say. But it looks like I kind of talk a lot. I'm sorry if it's getting boring or something, but I just like to talk about it and give you guys as much information as I can and share my thoughts with you as good as I can. So that's why I'm talking so much. I think that's how the game is. Like, we have a lot of strong picks, a lot of strong tanks, but you also have like it's built around average. I think we will see how strong tanks really are when you see the DPS players and the other roles. But I think that's good start. Like, tanks are kind of strong. I like how the tanks used to be like 2 years ago or 1 year ago when the weapon damage was a little bit higher and they were really strong. That's when I enjoyed them the most. But I think that's understandable as kind of tank main. Um, so let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts about it. Tell me what you think are maybe other tiers, or tell me what champion you think is better, or tell me when you disagree, tell me why you disagree. Just let me know what you think. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Again, sorry for taking so long. I didn't plan on talking so much. And always remember, don't forget, you guys are awesome.